That was fire. Fire, I tell you. Hello, my friends. Hope you all are doing good today. I want to uh, chat a little bit, talk a little bit about Youth Sabbath School. Uh, so just waiting for some folks to get on. I've got some stuff to talk about, and then also have I want to provide the opportunity for people to share ideas and share concepts. And yeah, we've been quarantined. Everybody's quarantined, and we're just hanging out here and waiting for people to show up so we can talk. I know it wasn't really planned way in advance, but here we are, and just wanted to be able to have a discussion and talk about Youth Sabbath School, and hope that we can make each other better teachers, and in the process lead young people to Christ. So that's what I want to do. That's what I am doing today. So I want to invite you to comment and to take part and let me know you're there. We will start the discussion. In the meantime, I'm just going to chat away at nothing. Hello, hello, hello. Who's out there? Is there anybody out there? So I have some do's and I have some don'ts that we are going to talk about as Youth Sabbath School teachers. As I adjust my chair here, there's a few things that I've learned over the years where I have made a lot of mistakes and continue to do so and learn from it, though. So we are in the process of learning together as we teach. Nobody is perfect, that's for certain. And what I would like to do is just talk about some things I've learned over the years. I have a major don't that's just like a big pet peeve of mine. One big don't that I have is don't ask the question, did anybody do their Sabbath school? So we don't want people to, the young people to feel guilty. The truth is most youth do not do their Sabbath school lesson. And we have a habit to think, well, because they're not doing the lesson, then we should not teach from the lesson. And I would say that that's an incorrect response. I think you can teach from the lesson, but when you're teaching from the lesson, stop referring to certain days. On Tuesday's lesson, it says that it asks the question, blah, 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 blah. And I think it just makes kids feel guilty. So one of the things that I do is instead of referring to specific days for questions or any kind of commentary, just teach the lesson. Just compile the questions and the answers that you want to provide, and keep them in some type of order, like you would write a paper. Like you have a introductory paragraph and you have a conclusion, and in between you talk about everything in the introductory paragraph, and the conclusion you sum everything up. And this is how you teach a Sabbath school lesson too. So you have some things you want to bring up, and you have a main point you want to get across, and in between you get there. So You don't have to refer to days of the week, um, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. It's just very in this climate where honestly the young people do not do their lesson. I would say like 99%, at least in my experience, they don't do their lesson. So I would venture to stay away from referring to the lesson. Instead, get yourself a Word document of some sort or Google Docs and start formatting where you want to start and where you want to end, and start discussing the content in between. So that's how I typically do a lesson. Um, and one of the other things that I try to do is I don't talk about every single point that is listed in the Sabbath school lesson. Typically, what I do is I pull out one or two main points and I expand on them and we talk about it because um, especially if there's an important issue that's being discussed in the Sabbath school lesson. If there's a really important issue that has to be talked about that you can expand on it. Don't feel like you have to go from Sabbath lesson to Friday lesson. So don't feel like you have to walk step by step through everything because there are subjects that are worth expanding on. And it's perfectly okay to come up with a question or two and expound on it, and that's your entire lesson. It's uh, don't feel confined to teach from the lesson exactly. Um, you know, if there's some ideas or some thoughts or some questions that come in your head, they're probably going to be coming across in a young person's head too. So go ahead and pull those together and ask your questions. Um, definitely a do, things that you should do. Um, you should, when you teach a Sabbath school lesson, get there on time. And I'm guilty at this. Um, get there at 2 minutes till. Uh, give no youth any reason not to walk into that Sabbath school classroom. So be there early. Um, and then when you get there, provide some time to interact with the youth. Ask questions like, how's your week been? Um, and then you could ask certain questions to start um, loosening the kids up. You don't have to do a fun activity. It's not always required to get youth to be interactive. What's required to get the youth interactive is show true intentionality when it comes to talking to them, just not cold conversations, like really interested. And the other thing is, I'll go through some questions here. The other thing is, don't give a solution to everything they say. Just listen. A lot of people want to speak and want to speak about what's going on, what's happening. The youth want to maybe if they open up, listen. You don't have to give them a solution. Listen. If they feel like they've been heard, uh, that opens them up more. So, but if you always got a solution for everything they have to say, um, they'll be less inclined to speak up. Um, some questions that you can ask, some general questions you can ask every week. Mix it up, one or two. How did God bless you this week? And force them to kind of like look back and see where God worked. Um, where did you see God this week? Give them time to reflect and to seek out, in their mind where God actually happened. Because sometimes we can go through the week and go, where was God? If we contemplate a little bit, we could point out one or two areas. Um, yeah. So, another question, like, what moments this week did you wish you were closer to Christ? There are times where we all mess up, and you could even share a moment that you had that will allow them to open up. I think it's always good to share, but don't talk for like 2, 3, 4 minutes about what God had done. You just lost time for them to respond. So only provide your experiences if it allows them to open up. Um, and another thing you can just ask is like, what frustrated you this week? What frustrated you this week? And because let's be honest, we all get frustrated periodically, and um, it's okay to talk about it. And it's okay to be frustrated. We have the tendency to be try to be perfect in front of the youth, and the fact is we're not. We see this in the church congregation where we walk in, we think nobody has problems but us, and so I think it's good for you to talk about things that frustrated you and what you did about it. So, like I said, don't give a solution. Just listen. Just listen to the young people. Um, yeah. So anyway, to recap here, did anyone do their lesson? Is not a good question to ask. Okay, let's stop making them feel guilty. They're not doing the lesson in the first place, and it is perfectly okay for you to teach from the lesson. Just because they don't do the lesson doesn't mean you can't teach them something that day. And so instead of going through step by step every day through the lesson and marching through it, because you have to get from A to Z, sometimes it's only good to talk about C and D for the whole entire lesson. And so feel free to open up and just expound on certain points and let the kids talk about it. You know, we have a tendency to say we have to teach them something, but in my experience, they have taught themselves a lot just by having the open conversations. So, some of the things that I want to ask, and I want you to feel free to reach out to me, or if you're watching here, uh, you can go ahead and put it in the chat. Um, what are your current Sabbath school struggles, and uh, when do you start to prepare for Sabbath school? That's another question. Um, sometimes our struggles are related to our lack of preparation. So if you're really interested in impacting the young people, you will prepare ahead of time. I have done Sabbath schools so much that I literally can do preparation on Friday night. Um, Although I don't like it. I don't like it because I feel rushed. But been doing it so long. I've been doing Sabbath school for, oh goodness, 15, 20 years. So some things become natural. You get to know how to formulate your questions and get to where you need to be. But I will tell you, when I did not prepare, it felt like I did not prepare while doing the lesson. So be prepared. Prepare yourself here. Read the lesson during the week. If you want to prepare your lesson on Friday night, that's fine. Um, don't feel guilty about it. But you know, every day go through the youth Sabbath school lesson and use it as part of your devotion. I'm telling you, Friday night comes around, you have a better opportunity um, to put your Sabbath school lesson together. What I do is I have a Word document and I name it for the Sabbath school that's coming up. And then I keep putting, like, I'll read Desire of Ages or whatever uh, um, spirit prophecy books that are associated with the lesson, and I'll read some stuff, and I'll read it online. I'll copy and paste certain quotes and certain paragraphs, certain statements, and I'll put them in a Word document. No order, just put them in the Word document. When I have a thought as I read one of the day's lessons or one of the questions, I start writing down the questions. I just write down questions. They don't even have to flow one after the other. I just write down questions. So when it comes to doing the lesson on Friday night, I have a pool of questions that I knew were important while I was doing the lesson, while I was studying, while I was reading, doing my devotions. And then I'm able to compile things a little bit easier. Um, One of the things that we have is what challenges does your local church have in helping in youth Sabbath school? Are you the only one? Are your teachers not showing up? These are some of the things that I want to talk about. But it helps with your input, and some of the challenges that we have at our church is that we're still in a pandemic. Okay, we're in a pandemic, and we don't provide any other way for youth Sabbath school besides in person. And um, I think we're going wrong there. Um, we should provide a online Sabbath school. It's my opinion. It's a church structural issue. It's a online burnout issue. Um, so there's a lot of things that are happening that prevent you from multitasking, from doing in person and online. I've had in my last 4 Sabbath schools that I've taught, I've had a total of well, I think I had 3 people once, 1 person once, and 0 twice. And our Sabbath school, part of our struggles are that we have 2 academies that are within an hour and a half or so uh, uh, distance from us. So we have a lot of kids that go off to academy. So we don't know when they're going to be home, when who's going to show up in person, and a lot of this is being driven by the parents. So if the parents aren't coming to Sabbath school or they're not coming to church, then the kids that you're trying to teach aren't coming. So um, the idea um, that the youth have to be the missionaries in order for you to reach them is wrong. And so I would encourage you to go out and visit your young people, take off and be with them, person, face to face, mask to mask, if you will. One of the things that we did once already is we went and we compiled all the young people in our church, and we got their addresses, and most of them that we were able to get. Some of them we didn't have current information. And we went and we spent the whole Sabbath visiting house to house of our youth Sabbath school. Let them know that we love them, we're thinking about them, and we're praying about them. And we actually did a prayer for them. And what you'll see is when you're intentional about that and you care about that and you're trying to reach out to them, um, they'll be more likely to respond when this pandemic is over. Hopefully it'll be over. But yeah, so those are some of the things I want to talk about today. Um, and I want you to know that you could always reach out to me, send me a message on Facebook or on the Kev Files on Facebook. If you look up the Kev Files on YouTube or Facebook, you'll see my profile, and please feel free to comment and send me messages, and we'll see if we can work this out together. But I'm here with you, and I understand the frustrations that you have. Um, but I just wanted to provide a little bit of information today to help us all walk through this journey together as Sabbath school teachers for youth. You have a great day, and we'll see you again.